like salad. Do you like salad?
Welcome to Canadian Salad,
a fun, factual, and friendly podcast about culture and integration in Canada.
I'm one of your hosts. I'm Ho Shen Ho from China, currently living in Vancouver, unceded territory of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations.
And I'm your other host, Andrea McCoy, an immigrant from the United States, and broadcasting you from the unceded traditional territory of the Lekwungen people, the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations.
And you're listening to
Canadian Salad! Hey!
Hello!
And hi, we're here together.
We're here together.
Yes.
I know, for people who can't see us, we're actually physically in the same room.
We are. It's such a gift. It's such a treat.
I know, usually we only
Yeah.
see each other online.
I know, it's true.
But so finally we'll be together. I feel it's very exciting for us.
That's right. Yes. We will share each other's spit because we're going to spit on the same microphone.
I agree. Also, this is special because the first episode of a new year.
For last episode of the new year.
True.
Last episode of not a new year. Last episode of 2024.
2024. All right. You told me all.
Wow, and I get called slow.
I know, the awkward
sometimes
silence.
for
Oh my God.
It's okay. It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
Welcome
I know,
to your
aging.
near to 40s.
I know,
Yes.
near to 40. Wow.
You have 6 years.
I'm not even 35, okay?
I know,
Wow.
I
feel
know.
attacked.
It's okay. It's a safe space to be attacked in.
True. But
Yes.
anyway, yeah, this is the last episode of a year.
Yes, of the
and
year.
then we decided to do a little rap.
Like
Yeah.
a
Mm.
Canadian salad, and we're here to say that we are really bad at rapping. Hey, yeah, no, we're wrapping up the year.
We're wrapping up the year.
Wrapping up the year, yes.
We had a conclusion because we had a fantastic year.
We did have a fantastic
Yeah.
year, yeah.
There's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of
laughter,
a lot
some
of tears.
yeah. Some hard conversations, some fun conversations, and some
Yeah.
hateful conversations.
I know.
No, we didn't have hateful. We were
Well,
responding
we
to
were.
hate.
Yeah, we were deploying
Yes.
hateful conversations.
Yes, we
yeah.
were. Yes,
But that
exactly.
was, that was an amazing year. Thank you.
It was an amazing year. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the whole year,
The whole year. Well,
what-
I just wanted to do maybe just a little recap if people aren't aware of like what we have been up to this year and kind of what is the summary of even this year, because honestly there's been a lot going on.
Especially if you're this is the first time you listening to us.
Exactly.
Now we gotta do a little recap and give you a little insight of what happened.
Yes, of what happened. If I can pull up my stats. Do you have a joke while I pull up the stats? Potion? Any joke?
Oh, I only think about the first one. I think it was a dirty joke. Maybe it's not.
You know
really
what? Let's do
proper.
it. Okay. It's not proper. Okay. You don't know any other like clean jokes? Where do you keep your armies?
Like what? What do you keep your armies?
In my sleeveys.
Oh my god, so funny. I laugh so hard.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Do you know how?
Okay.
Okay. Do you know how Asians say hello?
No, I don't.
We say hiya.
Is it okay that I laugh?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's pretty funny. That's pretty good. I love it. Do you know how white people say hello?
How?
We don't. We don't. That was the joke I just made up. I don't even know if that was funny. But I found our stats. Good job.
Yeah,
Hey, that was good filler. That was really good filler. So just a little recap. Our podcast Hoshin this year grew 154%.
Oh my god.
I know.
I am very shocked
Yeah, I know.
that we are loved and liked.
You're shocked? I'm not. Of
kidding,
course the masses love us. No.
I'm just kidding, of course. I mean, we did amazing work. Of course, people should listen to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that we're always right. Not that we're always right.
No, and not always factual. We made some
Exactly.
mistakes along the way.
Yeah, but then we always, try our best at least.
Yeah, and we said some wrong things.
We did.
you know?
We definitely did. But then we
Yeah.
correct ourselves.
But that's the journey.
Yeah, that's the journey. I mean, life is a journey. A podcast is also a journey.
It is a journey,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. The most popular city, Hoshin, do you know the most popular city for our podcast?
Well, I know I'm popular, so I will just say Vancouver.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes. Vancouver was like our top download space
I
where
know.
people downloaded. That is probably because you're popular, actually. That was beautiful.
Right,
That
thank
was
you.
so nice. The second top city was Victoria, which
Wow. Shocking.
that's my popularity by 5 downloads, I
Mm-hmm.
will say. Okay. Do you know what our top countries?
I mean, I think even our audience knows definitely Canada.
Canada was, but are there any other? So these 2 countries actually surprise us a little bit. So we have Singapore ranking our 3rd country to listen to our podcast. And then United K was the 4th, and Japan was the 5th.
See, I was
That's
not
really
expecting
neat.
any of these countries was
I
unlisted.
know. See, we're global. We're
We're
an international
international.
podcast.
We're in Asia, Europe, and North America.
Yes, I know. We're
gonna-
covering most continents.
Yeah, we're gonna cover Antarctica someday. The penguins, you know.
Yeah, the penguins. Yeah. Grok. Yeah.
Talk about climate change. They will listen to that.
You know what? We probably should talk about that next year. Yeah, how climate does impact immigration.
I agree.
We haven't even
And
touched on it.
penguins.
And penguins.
Yeah, polar bears in
Those.
the north.
Yes, north south. It's all flat. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. But don't ask my dad because he'll tell you it is. Yeah. So I think before we get into maybe our top episodes, our top podcasts that like really had a lot of. Do you have any favorite episodes?
Wow, I think it's very biased, obviously. My favorite, definitely when we talk about Asian joy.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah,
No,
I really
of
love that
course.
because you get to, well, you know, when we talk about this, a lot of our topics, we dive into very serious and sometimes like, you know, not great experience of immigrants. And
Right.
although it's issue that we need to address and,
Yeah.
you know, need to talk about, I sometimes also want people to know that we're more than our problems. We're more than the obstacle that we
Yeah,
face.
for sure.
So being able to talk about what the joy of being an Asian and the you know, the fun stories, the successful stories,
Yeah.
the role models.
Yeah.
The achievement that we made along the way as
Yeah.
immigrants, and it's
Yeah.
always fun to explore and and good to share that joy as well.
For sure. Because
Yeah.
it's a huge component of even, you know, we do hear about struggles, and those are obviously we have to give weight to
Yeah.
them, but there's the other side that encompasses so much more of a person, you know, and it's that joy, like you said, that
Yeah.
provides resistance against the oppression. And
I
against,
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, how can we still find light in the dark days?
Yes.
You know, find
Yeah.
find the room to dance, even though maybe we have not much room to do things with. You know, so
Yeah.
I think that's always important. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about you? What
Absolutely.
is your favorite?
You know what? I really loved and enjoyed our Love and Relationships series.
Oh, so 3 episodes.
3
Wow.
episodes.
Ask for one,
Check
ask
them
for
out.
3.
They're all in the month of February. In tune with. But it was really fun to hear people's relationship experiences, but even coming to a new country and what that was for them, like dating and, you know, some cultural things or expectations that they had in a partner, or in Canadian-born people. And so, yeah, that
And
was.
we have like interviewed many people that
We
that
did,
series.
mostly our friends. Of
Thank you,
course.
friends.
Yes, thank you. Royal Road friends. Yeah, exactly. Well, not all of them are Royal Roads, but
Stanley's
yes.
not.
Yes, no, but yeah. Do you have any funniest moments from
Oh,
this
yeah.
past year?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like teaching you all the modern slang that I use was really funny.
Because I'm old.
Like teaching you what it means to, what it is, I left no crumb, like you don't know what that is.
Yes, but now I know.
Yeah, like them. Oh, finger clap.
Finger clap, that's right. I learned that. I also learned some new poets, some new
Philosopher. Like
philosophers.
the poets, yeah, like
Yes.
that what's a famous poet said.
Yes.
You know, the haters gonna hate.
You know, that poet, Taylor Swift. I just...
We love her.
Yes, we do.
I heard she recently was in Vancouver and had a big poetry reading.
Big poetry reading,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think
A whole
the
stadium.
tickets for the poetry
Poetry
readings
reading
were
was
like
big.
$10,000
Yeah, it was
each.
expensive.
It was
yeah.
expensive. That's expensive poetry.
I
Like,
know.
who knew you can make money, that much money, off being a poet?
I know, and like the whole city went to her fancy because she
Yes.
was there for 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
all for poetry. It's amazing.
Exactly. What about you? What's your funniest moment that you
Oh,
remember?
Ocean, most of the funniest were you.
Because I'm
In a good
funny.
way. You are funny. So there was one time where we started the episode and a sneeze came upon you and you just like blew your nose brain out and
Right when it starts.
right when it started. That was really funny. And then another funny moment was, I think it was the Love and Relationships episode. There was a quiz question of what is the safest city in BC? And you were trying to think of a city and you were trying to think, or you wanted to say Regina, but you said vagina.
The R and V are difficult for us. Oh my god.
That's a big, it makes a big difference too, though.
It's ESL. You know, you pray love.
Eat, slay, love.
Eat, slay, love.
Eat, slay, love. You taught me that too.
Yeah. Modern slang.
Yes,
Eat, slay,
exactly.
love.
Eat, slay, love. Yes. So those are my funniest moments. How about any favorite guests that you had?
Oh, definitely mostly my friends.
Your friends, because that's our pool, folks. We just need to get bigger, and then maybe you could come on the show, which actually I want to apologize. There's been a few people that have reached out to say, hey, I'd love to share my story, and I've been terrible at following up. So if you're listening, I'm one, sorry, two, I'm going to really try hard to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
My favorite, one of our most recent interview, I would say Bray.
Oh, yes,
Bray, when we talked about the
Bray.
episode about, being a black man, being raised by a white family.
Yeah.
I think that was really interesting for me. I love that because first I'm really close with Bray. We're great friends.
Right.
If you're listening to this, Bray, love you.
Love you too, even though I barely know you, but you were great.
And
Mwah.
also just knowing that side of, we never had this kind of conversation, to be honest, or the question we asked in that podcast is not like just a random question.
You sit down over coffee.
Yeah.
So,
So tell me, how about you grow up as a black man in a white family?
Yeah.
What's your relationship like with
Sip, sip.
society?
Yeah.
Tell me about racism that you face.
Yeah,
And how people see
exactly.
you as this person.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's not
Exactly.
like a whatever ask friends this kind of question,
Right.
So it's, for me, it's also good to see that side of him. Yeah, I feel like I just connected with him way more. So I am very happy that the podcast gave me that opportunity to also get to know my friend in that kind of level.
that's beautiful. Yeah. That's Loving the Skin I'm In. That's season 2.
Yeah,
That's the name.
yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to drop a lot of episodes so you guys can go back and maybe listen.
Yeah,
But,
what about you? What is your favorite guest?
I think one of my favorite guests was an episode we did much earlier this year.
Yeah.
It was parenting my kid's culture.
The moms.
The moms, yeah. It was me and one of my, 3 of my really good friends, Tabitha from the United States, Fairuz from Libya, and Carrie from Jamaica. And I loved listening to their journey and navigating not only just parenthood, but that extra layer of culture and how to keep and maintain your in a culture that's not your own. Because these are things that for myself, while from the States, I mean, I would say the big difference between the States and Canada is like gun culture is a huge difference, right? So I don't really think about that because there's just I don't have to talk about that aspect of our culture that I don't want to include in my child's upbringing.
Imagine that. Imagine you have to tell your kids right now that, oh, by the way, you go to school, be careful guns.
Yeah, I know, right?
Can you imagine
Yeah.
worrying about your kids going to school?
Exactly. But that's a privilege that me as a white woman and a white son, we don't have to think about. But my friends, Fairuz and even Carrie, Jamaican and Libyan, like they have to think about the safety of their kids at Canadian schools, right? Because racism exists. So it's always very eye-opening just to hear other women who intersect with my life, but also there are intersections that we don't have in common, and understanding and hearing what those are and making space for that and having that shape and influence the way that I talk to my son in using his eyes to see and observe the differences that others experience at school and being an advocate and speaking up and out for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah. So that was one of my favorite episodes.
It's always, like, I think interviewing all these guests, this last year, I definitely learned a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, internet is great too.
It is.
But I think like personal story also has just that much more impactful.
It did.
We can probably even those things if you read it online, I think it's just less impactful because it's not a person with flesh and blood in front of you telling you their whole story.
Exactly.
So I think that is beautiful. And and to all our guests that taught us so much, thank you for your generosity.
Yeah.
Really,
oh my
that was
gosh.
generous of your time, of your vulnerability, and we learned so much from you. And in the future, hopefully next year, we also can do a lot of guests. Yeah. And talking about, guests and learning, we also have people reach out to us and telling us how much they learn from us. So we also want to thank you for those people and letting us know that, that your words are very appreciated from us.
Yes.
And we love that you tell us that.
Yeah. And people have reached out because I post a lot of our episodes on my LinkedIn page because we cover a variety of topics that I feel like are very relatable in like a professional setting or whatnot. But had a few people reach out, and I just want to read one comment. We had a few people reach out to us and took the time. People don't have to take the time to
tell
do
us
it,
anything.
right?
Yeah.
To tell
You're
us,
not obligated to anything.
No, But this particular person, I just really appreciate her. So she said, quote, "I heard Yoren Hoshin's podcast today. This was my first time listening to it. As an international student and immigrant, I felt that the podcast was rationally and emotionally able to bring out the various experience of and by us. I emphasize in all of our immigrant identity here in Canada, living that identity. Thank you for also touching on the intricacies of the problems faced by immigrants of color. I wish you both all the best and a lot of success for all the right reasons.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, like
my
these are people that we don't know. I don't know her. And so there were a few of you that reached out, and honestly, that helps us ride that high, because sometimes we wonder if what we're saying has meaning. Like, we know it does, but I think it's much more meaningful when someone from the outside
telling us that
instead of our own like
delusion
and our, our huge faith in ourselves, and just we have so much joy in it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have fun talking about that. I agree with you. Sometimes we just talking to our, at our own bedroom.
Yes.
And now, to our own mic facing our own screen.
Yeah.
And then just living this bubble,
Yeah.
thinking that we're doing good work.
Yeah.
But then, in many ways, this is like all in our head.
It is.
And so, having people to reach out to us and telling us that what we do have some sort of meaning, no matter how big or small to them, it definitely is very validating.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because you click that upload button, the upload episode to all the podcast platforms, and you don't know where it's going to land.
Yeah,
you don't know who's going to
out
listen.
in the ocean, you don't know where it's going to land. Exactly. So if you have any good words that you want to say to us, please do say to us. Reach out to us, please.
Yes.
Even bad words, we take them too.
We do, and we have a whole other series of episodes that address the haters.
We take anything.
Anything.
You give us.
We take all your crumbs. Is that good?
Yeah.
Did I do it? Okay.
All your crumbs.
I'll take your crumbs. Yay.
Anything you
learning.
want to say to us, we will humbly accept them.
Yes, we will.
Yeah,
we will.
Yes.
Yeah.
So please do.
Yeah, definitely. I think just kind of in that retrospective, kind of thinking learning, were there any episodes for you that were really insightful? That maybe, Hoshin, for you, maybe had you pause more to think about that particular topic, or really maybe just kind of were inspiring or insightful?
I think I definitely had a lot of, I guess, like reflection when I'm doing the episode was the pride episode, talking about pride. Because, of course, being a gay man for 10 plus years now. Yeah. And also just reflecting on my journey of how I first got to my first gay pride to now organizing pride events. I was never really sit down and reflecting on that journey for myself. Yeah. So I think that gave me opportunity to oh my God, I did come from I came from a long, 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 long way, and give myself that kind of gratitude, that kind of acknowledgement that I did well to fight the demons in myself and the demons outside of society as well, and then and ground myself into my identity. Though that was something, and also learning, really researching the history of pride, Stonewall. I know the big events, but differences in the people after Stonewall and how to make pride into more global thing, how that worked. So I think that story also helps me to learn about more names and more people that have contributed to my rights and to cultivate a more inclusive society in the world and make pride celebration such an important thing nowadays. So all these things are good for me to learn. Yeah. A little bit externally or internally. So I find that very insightful for me, for sure.
Well, and your journey is so powerful. It impacted me, and to have a better understanding of even people who are within the queer community that are close to me, like you, my brother, others, because I think, with journey and with humans, you can know in part, but that journey of understanding that person and who they are, that's the lifetime of learning.
I know. The thing is, podcast is, you have to, when we talk about certain topic, of course, you have the kind of understanding of, okay, how are we going to break it down, how we're going to tell it in a certain time frame. Yeah. So it definitely, that kind of structure helps me to really conclude, okay, what have I been doing? Oh, no, this podcast had to tell that story. So what it was my story. And that definitely helps me to narrow down all the essence of that journey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That episode is pride, because no one should have to convince the world of their humanity. So that's that episode. Exactly. Yeah.
Good title. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you. Good one. It was a longer one, but I felt like it's hard to title some of these complex ideas and journeys, and you don't want to condense someone to 2 words, you know?
What's the most insightful episode for you?
I think Maybe it's just because of the most recent US election, but I think the episode Collective Choices for Collective Voices, the idea, politics, and how much, what we choose today can impact so many people. I think even the most recent BC election was very nail-biting, but because it was between collective ideas versus just for rich people, right? And so I think, and with privilege and with with just having that ability to check out and not really care, which is something I'm not proud of for sure, but I'm very thankful that I've learned that I can't check out anymore. Like that's a privilege that no one should have.
Yeah, I think if you know you have the opportunity to, you can tap out, that is a privilege itself.
It is.
And often a lot of white people, of course, had that because that opportunity to tap out anytime they want. But as a person that of color, you can tap out because your life itself is a challenge. Just you stepping out of your front door, being visibly different than anyone else, that you are always have the chance of subject to bullies, hatred, subject to discrimination. So I think that there's no way we can tap out.
No, and that's why it's so important that white people understand that privilege and actually stop taking advantage of that privilege and using it for the collective good, because collective good for everyone is individual good. Like it is a ripple effect. Like if I think of other people, like in turn I will also be thought of. It's not like a zero, like, oh, if I only think of them, I'm out of the picture. That's never been it at all.
That's not how you go. You can just have the privilege again to tap out and too complicated, I'm not gonna vote.
Exactly.
I'm not even think about that.
Right.
And then we're now realizing that vote that you have in your hand, the power you have in your hand, can affect millions of people's lives, to for the better or for the worse.
And with the hard work of ancestors before, of immigrants before, who worked and gave so much just for that vote.
Exactly.
And then to not use that, even as women, like women did a lot of work just to get their right to vote.
I agree.
So I'm not going to look in the past and say, well, you being jailed and beaten, that means nothing because I'm just not going to vote. To discard that, I think that's where we forget the past. We forget how much people worked to make the rights that we have now.
I agree. Even the conversation I had with these people, not just white people not voting, but even POCs, immigrant themselves, and maybe they don't have the experience or history of being politically minded, because I know a lot of immigrants, maybe their country of origin they don't really have voting right, or they're never really able to vote, or maybe politics is nothing they can be participating in, so they're not used to that. But then the thing is, now you're here now, like you have a new chance, a new life, a new country, like all this. If you're immigrant, if you're POC, I think you have even more things on your shoulders to vote, because your kids, it's not just you, also generations after you, your neighbors, maybe your family, people that are from your own country that kind of come here. Like a lot of people also, like that one vote that you have is not just you. It's not because it's too complicated. You don't have that privilege. You really don't have the privilege to not vote. So sometimes I just get very frustrated.
For sure. So go out and vote. There's so many provincial campaigns and elections happening, and the next year is going to be the federal election, which people have been saying, everyone's going to vote for baby Trump, which is pure.
Like also it's not that complicated, so please go vote, go learn, go understand the policies and then how it affects your life, because it does affect you.
We've seen the petri dish called the American experiment and it's not working. A lot of people voted without being informed and really not thinking fully. So, but with that, Hoshin, what would you say? We had some really good conversations with people. What would you say was one of the most profound conversations you had?
Oh my God, our most recent conversation, the interview with the Syrian, the refugees. Oh my God, I had to hold myself not to cry or to just hold myself together. I don't know whether you realize I was I think I was definitely less talkative.
I could hear a bit of cracking in your voice.
To talk, because seeing it from social media, from news, like all the bombing, all the death is really hard. But it's like I said, when you're seeing on a screen, like we just said, seeing on a screen on a story, it just and sometimes you detach you because it's just like a screen.
For sure.
But when real people telling you how their kids were dead because of fighting for freedom, how their life was torn apart because of war. Because again, some people's selfishness, some people's knowing that, and when that was told to my face, it just also realize how much work we have to do to, as collective, to to voice, to go to the streets, to like to vote. Another thing, to make sure that we select the right people in the seats of power, to make sure this is not going to happen again.
Yeah, for sure. And we haven't really touched or even invited any people with refugee experience, right? And that's something that next year definitely want to do more of, just invite more voices and address a lot of myths. There's a lot of tropes, there's a lot of lies circulating about how much refugees get and, what kinds of handouts, quote unquote, and, this idea that, well, they ruin their country, so they're going to ruin ours. Like, there's these awful, awful statements that are just, people are misinformed. They have a single-sided, narrative, and that's what the podcast is. It's addressing those head on and saying, no, not here. Not anymore.
I want you to see them as this victim of war.
Right.
And maybe they are in many
that's
ways.
A part
but that's only a part of them.
Yeah.
And then if you every time you approach them with this kind of pity, with this kind of sorrow. I mean, I know I don't want anyone to approach me with any of sort of that kind of feeling. So I don't think they would like that either. Right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think that also taught me something.
Right. Yeah. No, it was very profound. I think that definitely was a profound episode for me. But also, I loved having Godaci sing. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, the accent,
yes.
The thick,
and I love that episode. It was really fun. Godaci is very fun. If you're listening, Godaci, thank you so much for coming on the episode. And
we love you.
Yes, and check out his podcast, My Thick Accent.
Which is
so good.
So good.
But that conversation was really powerful because, again, that's another layer that people who come to Canada have to navigate, because in the Western world, we think, well, everyone needs to sound like, I don't even know what. Honestly, it's like, well, you don't sound Canadian. What does that even mean? I mean, it's like, you don't act Canadian. You don't, I've been told that I don't talk Canadian, and I'm like, oh.
Because you don't say A.
Because I don't say A, because they're like, oh, well, but you don't talk Canadian, and, like, you don't sound like an American either. And just these silly concepts and very harmful concepts that we've adopted to say, well, you have an accent, therefore I'm going to demote you or your intelligence.
The othering,
right? The othering, or just the presumptions that because they have an accent, they must whatever fit some kind of narrative. And so I think it's very profound because it's, again, challenging those narratives that I've grown up with and those unconscious biases and racist tendencies that, while I'm working hard, they're still there. So it's one of those things that, this is good. I need to be challenged in that way. I need to okay, why is my knee-jerk reaction to think this?
Exactly.
I need to think differently.
I think it's important for all of us, I think from the two episodes we just mentioned, I think it's important for us to always challenge our initial thoughts. When some name was mentioned, some place was mentioned, what is my first go-to? Why this thing, just the first thing that I think of? And that's the thing we should challenge. And to try to put it in the back of your head. Maybe you can't control why just the first thing you pop up, but maybe try your best to control that thought, or maybe to try to put it back of your head, to not let it determine how you treat a person or how you approach a situation. I think that would be a good start.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get all Christian-y here for a moment, but there's this verse where it says, "Take every thought captive."
Yeah.
And I like that idea of okay, I'm taking this thought that obviously is harmful. I'm going to keep it contained, and I'm going to say, okay, why this, and how do I change it, right? So it's not becoming my words, and it's not becoming my actions, because it does begin in the head. It begins in the heart. So yes. Anyway, that's the extent. Sorry, I don't mean to re-traumatize you
I am not.
Okay.
Not traumatized.
Or anyone else who's listening who's been hurt by the church and Christians. But before we go to our quiz, what would you say, Hoshin, were some really, and what would you encourage maybe those listening, some really important episodes to listen to? I mean, we have a lot. All of them?
All of them are amazing.
All of them.
You're welcome again.
All of them.
We'll keep giving you. We are the Christmas.
We are.
We're Santa.
Ho, ho, ho. And I'm nothing.
The Andrea,
Andrea Havila. My middle name is Havila. Begins with an H.
Ho.
Ho.
I'm the ho. Ho, ho,
I'm
ho.
the ah.
Triple Hoshin.
Amazing.
Anyway, the first thing that popped in my head is the indigenous allyship, because I learned a lot, to be honest. I mean, I'm definitely at least trying to be more of an ally, and if I can, in spaces and opportunities I can, or in every day that I do. So I think that episode also like will solidify a lot of this kind of thought I have, also like the needs of that for all of us to be an ally for indigenous, because not that they are the stewardship of this land, the steward of this land, and also they have suffered so much, and
risen above so much.
I mean, risen above. This is just a part, obviously. The indigenous joy also that we also share. I think that is also important, because I always, as mentioned many times in this episode, the joy and the suffering should, both should be discussed.
Yeah, absolutely.
The complex part of experience and humanity in general. Yeah. And I think the episode all of us should hear about it, on how indigenous also helped immigrant. Especially we use Squamish Nation as an example, that they helped many Chinese immigrants back then when they were down, when they were subject to so much discrimination. Like stories like that also helps to make people realize that indigenous has always been an ally to immigrants. So I think immigrants now has even more reason to be a good, strong ally for them as well. So I think that episode is very important. So go listen again and share to everyone everyone.
Yes. And we are planning to have more indigenous voices on the podcast, because we have not interviewed or even had a guest with an indigenous to Canada background and lived experience, and that's a culture that lives here. So we're definitely going to invite more voices.
So that's what you can expect next year. We're going to have indigenous guests. Can't bet that we'll get someone.
Yes, exactly. I think for me, some of the most important episodes would be the global conflict and global grief. When October 7th happened, we were processing, and at the end of the month we did an episode right away, because it was really, really huge and it was heavy, and we needed to say something, because the Western world has not said anything. If anything, they've said terrible things. And so that's a really good one, because I'll speak for myself. It's easy to assume immigrant who's here, they're building their new life, and anything that goes on in any part of the world doesn't really matter to that person, and that, again, that's privilege.
That's privilege
for sure. But at the same time, it's just so important to understand how globally connected we are. We can't escape this anymore. And we can't think that we can just live in a box and pretend that that we need to go away from it. Like, one person's oppression should be just assumed as our own oppression, and just as much as one person's liberation is our liberation. And if we're not working for that, if we're not working hard and speaking up and speaking out against just the atrocities that are happening and the injustice, then when they come for us, who's going to speak up for us?
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. I love that saying that none of us are free until we're all free.
Yeah.
Because I think that's very true, because if one of us is not free, whatever elements that makes this person not free, no matter it's power, corruption, whatever, that element that makes this one person not free will eventually spread and makes all of us not free.
Right.
So like, if you think one person's suffering is not yours, you just need to give it time. Eventually it'll be yours if you don't do anything about it.
Exactly.
Because if there's a mold in a fruit, the whole bag of fruit eventually can all go bad. So sometimes we have to, again, take one person's suffering as yours, because it will eventually be yours.
Right.
If you keep ignoring it. I think that's the one thing.
And just as much as there's generational trauma of being like victims of that suffering, there is generational trauma of oppressing people.
Oh, yes.
Embedded in my DNA, embedded in many Europeans' DNA, that we don't recognize enough. And that's what continues these systems. That's what continues this behavior and these patterns. And we have to wake up and recognize that just as much as we think that we're quote unquote free, we are just as much bound by that hatred.
Yeah. Hurt people.
Yeah.
Because they hurt.
Yeah. So those are some good episodes. Another few ones, just a real quick. Immigrant veterans, the unsung Canadian heroes. So definitely listen. We talk about Chinese soldiers, Japanese, Punjabi soldiers, and as well as the code talkers, Indigenous men who played a huge role in winning the war.
Exactly.
And then Canadian values. That was a really good one.
I love that one because because the number shows, facts shows, the immigrants are actually the one who upholds the so-called Canadian value, rather
Yes.
than all
Whatever
this
those- yeah.
bigot, all those haters
Yes.
saying that, oh my God, they don't have Canadian value. It was like, actually the immigrants actually are the one who mostly uphold the value. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And we do, like, go to that episode. It's Canadian values, I think is what it is. And it's a really, really good one because honestly it challenges this idea that, oh well, they're not acting like Canadian. They don't have our same values.
I know they're not Canadian enough.
Yeah.
Which, you can use this episode
What's
to
your
tell
benchmark? Yeah, like where's your scale?
You can quote, go to the episode, get the data, and then if anyone said it to you, you can give them the facts. It's like, where did you get that from?
Actually,
you are wrong because this is the fact.
Yeah, exactly. So highly recommend that one. Well, to close, before we maybe do our little quiz, I think looking forward to 2025.
Obviously, looking forward to
Yes.
it. Like I said, we make a lot of big promises.
We do, but we're going to
Indigenous
work really
voices,
hard.
yeah.
Indigenous voices.
And all the people reach out to us.
to be guests.
To interview some strangers.
Yeah, it will be fun.
Challenging.
Yeah.
That will be fun too.
And I think we'll also try to really address current issues. I know with all of the changes in immigration coming from Trudeau and even with the changing in government.
I know. Ooh.
Immigration is a very hot topic. And I look at our podcast starting back, a year and a half ago, and I think what good timing, because I feel like we really need to be the voice and speak out for people that don't have a platform and people who are really struggling in Canada. I think we're going to see with the new Trump administration, as much as that's the States. Like, it's going to impact us. And if there's a conservative leader who really loves Trump, this is our collective, we need to make more collective spaces for collective voices to combat, this, all of these things. So yeah, we're going to bring more of that, but we'll also lace a lot of humor, a lot more quizzes, I feel like I know so much more about Canada.
From quizzes.
Than even like my landlord. I was talking to him about, this happened. He's like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm the one who's like the immigrant here. You were born and raised. Anyway.
Well, usually it's the immigrant who knows a lot
It's
more
true.
Canada. Again, we just talk about Canadian value.
Yeah.
Like, the immigrants are more
It's
Canadian
true.
than a
It's
Canadian.
true. Yeah. It's very, very true.
Yeah.
And then also we just want to say
Thank you.
huge thank you to all of our guests.
To all of you.
All of you. We're looking at you because we're looking at each other. But yes, all of you for taking time to listen to us. I think when we drop an episode, we always try to keep in mind our listener and what's the best, and serving you. And so we can't have this podcast without anyone listening to it. And so that's why you mean the world to us.
And please spread your words.
Yes. Yeah. Share it with other friends and family, that racist uncle.
The racist uncle.
Yeah.
Maybe make it a family thing.
Yeah, make it a family thing. Every Friday night you get together, and you know how people used to listen to like radio shows?
Yeah, maybe this we can do and listen to a podcast.
Just listen to the
Canadian
podcast.
Salad.
Have a discussion,
Yeah.
And Hoshin and I actually this past year, we were not only invited on the BBC podcast.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. But we were also invited to speak on a panel for an organization because they were talking about cultural integration and, issues related to BIPOC community.
So you can invite us
So you
to
can
give a
invite
speech
us.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can create a conversation and have these dialogues in a safe way, because as much as, you might say something that's absolutely awful, we've both been there and we
We've both
understand,
been,
like we're all learning and we've all been on both sides of the coin. So yeah, we're here to create that space.
Yeah, I mean, we are in many ways. We were very more racist than right now, I guess.
Yes.
We're working on. I mean, we
Yes.
were. I mean, we all grow up in this
So-
kind of society.
Yeah. So my racism meter was like totally full, and I feel like I'm here.
Yeah, slowly.
So
slowly getting less and less.
But it is. But I will never fully achieve no racism, and I think that's why it's so important to always be working for it.
Yeah, to
working
talk
hard for
about it. Yeah, and to recognize it, of course. If you don't think you had a problem, then you will never
Yeah.
work on it,
Exactly.
obviously. But also give yourself grace. If you truly care about the world and then you make a mistake or say
Yeah.
the wrong thing, sometimes you have to
Absolutely.
forgive yourself and find ways to
do.
move forward and be a better person. That's
because
all
that
it
grace
is.
will help you with other people.
I agree.
You
Exactly.
know, as hard as it is.
Because that grace also creates safe space, not just for you, for others as well.
Yeah.
So please do that as
Yeah.
well. So thank
We're in
you
this
for
together.
being there with us.
Yeah.
Thank you to our guests.
Our guests, yes. Thank
I
you so
know.
much. Your time, your energy, your talents, your experiences, your vulnerabilities to share your story.
To share all that thought with us, your
Huge.
stories, make us cry, make us laugh, make us think.
Yes.
I hope you
Yeah.
understand that your contribution to us has been very profound and touching, and you definitely make us a different
Yeah.
people in some way
Yeah, yeah. And we do need to thank our haters.
too.
Haters, thank you.
Providing content.
For your content, for saying the quiet parts out loud. I think that's really important to, it's not important to say those things out loud because they're very harmful, but because we are able to challenge those. Because
Yeah.
I've been told a lot just in conversation with other people that I meet either on LinkedIn or in the community. So many people say, we need more platforms like Canadian Salad because where's the media combating these narratives? Where are our politicians actually? Mark Miller, where are you saying like immigrants aren't the problem? Right? Like it's not being said. So, but Hoshin and I are, and we will continue to say it as long as we can. And so that's why it's really important. We want this to grow, and we want, haters just keep giving it, that's fine. That's fine.
And also it's important sometimes to realize, like I know we like to surround ourselves by people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
And then sometimes this like-minded bubble can maybe give you this illusion, this is how the world works, but it's not. There's a lot of haters out there.
Yeah, there
So I
is.
think, thank you for the haters also reminding us what, the reality of the world and how hateful this world can be. And they give us opportunity to address it. We work hard for that reality to come true because that reality exists. So it's always important for us to have the power, have the tools, have the words to know what is true and what is not, and to combat what is not true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say I've had friends reach out to me, white friends born and raised on Turtle Island, who have been challenged because they support me. They listen to the podcast and they're like, you know what? I actually really appreciated this episode because it really challenged me to think differently. And that's what it's for, right?
Yeah.
It's to create, kinder, better, and safer worlds for everyone, because, we're all exhausted. It's like just hatred is so exhausting.
So exhausting. Hate is so exhausting.
It is.
But it has to be addressed.
Yes, it has to.
Yeah.
And so that's why we
Thank
do
you,
what we do. So thank you, haters.
Yeah, thank you. And the lovers, obviously.
Yes, more, the lovers, yeah. So to finalize this episode.
The last pop quiz of the year.
Yes, last Canadian Salad pop quiz.
Okay.
Yes.
I will go first.
Okay.
I want to go first.
Okay.
I hope you know the answer.
Okay, we'll see.
This pop quiz is going to be all about this
About
year's...
the podcast.
About the
Yes.
podcast, of course.
Yes.
My question is, who is the first person we interviewed in this year?
No, the first person. I'm not even going to look it up.
You cannot
my
look it
goodness.
up.
No, I'm not.
You're not looking
I'm
it
not
up.
looking. No, I'm not. The first person we interviewed was... Was it Stanley and Akari?
Good job.
Oh my gosh, yay.
You did, yeah. This is
Yay.
Akari and Sam. It was
Yay.
a single about being single
Yes.
in here,
Yes.
in Canada.
Yeah. Okay, Hoshin. My
Okay.
question for you is, which episode received the most downloads?
Oh my god. The single one. Is it the single or the relationship one?
Let me check.
Oh, you don't even know the answer.
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. We both got it right. Yeah. Which was Stanley and
And
Akari.
Akari.
They were our guests.
And
our
they were the first guest and also the most popular. Akari and
So,
Stanley, thank
Akari
you.
and Stanley, thank you.
You
And
guys were amazing.
I think we need to do more episodes on being single.
Oh, people maybe like being single. Maybe in Western it's a lot of people because most people are single.
I know.
They have nothing better to do.
I know. I
So
know.
they listen to podcasts.
Exactly. Maybe that's it. But the love and relationships, being single, I don't know. I think, anyway, more to come. So, but that's our episode.
Yeah, thank you so much for
Yeah,
listening
thank
again.
you,
For an amazing. And thank you,
Hoshin.
Andrea.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
That-
can't do this without you.
No, we can do this without you. By the way,
No.
everyone really have to thank Andrea because this podcast was Andrea's idea and she did so much work for this as well.
No, but
Yeah.
I can't do it without you. I've done some solo episodes.
I got you. So I have never done a solo
They
episode.
don't get as many listens.
that's
I'm
how
just gonna
much-
say. I'm just gonna
how
say.
much work
I'm getting
Andrea
more
does
listens.
put into this. So I want to thank you truly from the bottom of my heart
Thank you,
for all the work you
Hoshin.
put into for the for the effort.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And you do so much.
Absolutely, and you do too.
Not as much as you. I know
I-
how much I put into.
Yes,
I'm realistic.
but your voice and your perspective are worth like the thousands and hundreds of hours that are put in.
And yours too.
Yeah.
You know, and yours too.
So,
yeah. So
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. So,
Good.
well, we'll see you all in 2025. Have a good new year.
Have a great
Be
new
safe,
year.
and big hugs from us. And let us know if there's any topics you want to hear for 2025. We would
And
love.
please follow us on social media, obviously.
Yes,
Instagram, Canadian
yes.
Salad.
Yes, and if TikTok,
TikTok
doesn't
too.
get banned in Canada, you can see our little
Also,
vids.
Canadian Salad.
Canadian dot
Dog
salad.
salad, sorry. Canadian dog salad. That's
I made
our
a mistake
TikTok.
with the name anyway.
That's
it's all on me.
okay.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And leave a comment to us.
Yes.
Maybe wish us Happy New Year as well.
Yes,
We
yeah.
love comments.
Me too.
Okay,
Yes.
see you next
Okay,
year.
bye. Canadian Salad is written and produced in British Columbia, Canada by Hoshin Ho and Andrea McCoy. Theme music is by Naver Avatyan from Pixabay.
This has been a good Drinklin production.